economic education at the University of Cincinnati. Producing Ohio is made possible by a generous grant from the Ohio Educational Telecommunications Network Commission in support of the Ohio SchoolNet Initiative. When we go to school, we probably never think that as students, we are the consumers of a product. Our school is the producer of that product, and like a regular business, it uses many resources or factors of production to satisfy our wants for skills and knowledge. What is the product that we consume every day at school? That product is a service called education. Did you know that your school district has its own business staff? Like any business, your school district hires employees, purchases equipment, and pays the water bills. And it's up to the business staff to make it all happen. In the business office at Southwest Local Schools, Treasurer Greg Bybee and Assistant Superintendent Dan Lawler make many of the economic decisions that keep their school district running every day. In other words, they engage in entrepreneurship.
The product of our school district is educating our students. My day-to-day job responsibilities revolve around overseeing the accounting operations for the school district, and that means taking care of the receipts that come into the buildings, the food service, athletic events, monies from the state. Also, I'm in charge of supervising the payments for the school district for supplies and books and cafeteria food and transportation.
The day-to-day job responsibilities for me are curriculum and instruction. That includes ordering textbooks, writing curriculum, revising curriculum, the testing, and also technology, and staff development activities. I think operating a school is very similar to operating other businesses. When you're in my position or other administrator positions, behind the scenes kind of stuff that maybe the students or teachers don't see. There's a lot of ordering, a lot of purchasing, a lot of planning, a lot of strategic planning, looking down the future, trying to develop facilities and so on for the students. So in that regard, I think it's a lot like a business.
Land, labor, and capital resources all have to come together to make our school operation work. One without the other, everything would just stop. We have our teachers, our cooks, our custodians, our administrators, maintenance people, on and on. But they could not do their job if there were not facilities available, proper equipment, technology there, the computers, the textbooks, the things that they need in order to do their job. The whole thing would also fall apart if we did not have energy sources, the fuel to heat our buildings, the gas to transport our kids in our buses. So you can see all of them are important, but we need everything together to make the education of our students possible.
The money to run the schools comes from three sources. The local source is the taxpayers through their property tax. The second source is state funding, and that comes from a state income tax. And then the third source is federal funding, which again comes from an income tax from the federal government.
It is important for us to make the right budget decisions because we are charged to be stewards of the taxpayers' money. Our revenues are limited. If we don't do a good job, the only way we can get additional revenues is to go back to the taxpayers and ask for additional levies. Obviously, that's something we don't like to do. We take pride in making right decisions, and if we don't, then we're forced to go the other direction, and that's to cut expenditures.
The two things I like best about my job are, one, that the decisions I make affect a large number of students, and when things work out successfully, it's very rewarding. The other part about my job that I like is that no 2 days are the same. A lot of times there are new things that come up, new decisions to be made, and hopefully we make them successfully.
The best thing I like about my job is the opportunity to work in my community and to make a difference in the education of our students. I really enjoy working with the staff, getting out and meeting community members, talking to the kids, and above all, I guess, doing what I've been trained to do, and that's to provide the leadership in the areas of accounting and finance for our school district.
The bus drivers take us to school. The custodians take care of our building. The teachers help us learn. The librarians check out our books. The nurses keep us healthy. And the cafeteria workers make our lunch. What do they all have in common? They provide the labor resources that help produce our education. Pam Stevenson is employed by Southwest Local Schools, and she provides her skills and knowledge from Miamitown Elementary School by teaching the 6th grade.
This school is run by lots of different people. There are a lot of people that work together to make this school a great place to be for kids. If we start in my classroom, obviously I am in here every day working with students. I have volunteer parents who come in. I have one parent that comes in every day of the week to help me give each child in the room a little bit more individual time. I also have special teachers who come into my classroom and help kids who have some special needs that other students might not have. My class goes out to see other teachers every day for PE, music, and art, and that's a great help for me since I'm very good at those areas. We're also very fortunate that we have support staff that helps a great deal. Our custodian does just about any job that needs to be done in the building, anything from fixing the animal cages to going to the library and picking up our books. We're also fortunate that we have two great secretaries who take care of just about any job you can think of that doesn't fit under any other category. They take messages, they type memos. We only have one principal here. We don't have an assistant principal, so he's responsible for all of the administrative type functions and discipline within our building. We have great people that work in the cafeteria that make going down there fun, for at least for the teachers every day, and the students really like. We have a crossing guard who crosses students every day, and we have a school nurse who provides for students when they have health issues and needs. It's really cool that all of these people in our building work together to make things happen for kids. I feel that the students in my class are well aware that teaching is a job and that there are many aspects of the job that I have, and know that there's a lot of hard work that goes into my job. My day starts here at Miamitown. I usually arrive about 7:20. Before school and after school, I run off papers, I grade papers, I call parents. Then the other students start arriving about 10 till 8. From 10 till 8 to 8:30, we socialize, we go over, make sure everybody has their homework, and at 8:30, the school day actually begins. At 8:30, from 8:30 to lunchtime, we have regular classes. I have a half an hour lunch time, but usually the 5th and 6th grade teachers only take 15 minutes for lunch, and the rest of our lunch period we use to do what we call intervention for students to get them ready for the proficiency test. The rest of the day is pretty much the same. It just involves working with students, introducing new concepts, going over homework, and then at nighttime, the big job is grading papers. The day is full, but it is a lot of fun. The thing that I like best about my job is watching students grow. It is very neat to see them at the beginning of the year and then to watch each day, each week, each month as they grow personally and academically, and then at the end of the year to see what we've achieved together.
The buses we ride, the building we enter, the desk where we sit, and the textbooks we read are all resources or capital used in the production of our education. Warren Rimley is the business manager for Southwest Local Schools. Since his job includes supervising transportation for the entire district, he focuses on capital resources every day.
Buses are important to the school district because we in Southwest haul about 4,000 kids per day who otherwise their parents would have to take them. And you would have 8,000 unhappy parents because they had to drive in a traffic jam every day. Plus, it's much more cost efficient to do it with mass transportation than with an individual car, obviously. Each year, every school district has to purchase new buses. Our particular district each year buys 2 buses. The reason it's 2 is because we have 25 regular routes and we replace the whole fleet in 12 years. So we buy 2 buses each year to make sure we do that. The mini buses run anywhere from $40,000 to $50,000. A large transit bus runs around $65,000. In our fleet, we have almost $2 million worth of buses. Buses breaking down is a major problem. Our school district is very large. We're 108 square miles, so it's very difficult when a bus breaks down because we only have students that are on the bus. We have the students that are waiting to be picked up by that bus. Maintenance of the school buses is extremely important. We haul 4,000 children twice a day, so you really can't afford not to have the bus well maintained. All of our buses go every 20 days for a complete maintenance check. We check everything, not only the oil and the routine maintenance type things, but the brakes, the springs, the tires, the ball joints. Anything that would affect the safety of that bus is thoroughly gone over, and before it goes out the door, we want to make sure that it's in tip-top condition, and we spare no expense when it comes to the maintenance of a school bus. We have several types of equipment we use in a transportation system other than the school bus. For example, all our buses are equipped with two-way radios that allow the buses to talk over several miles. and also to contact the office in case of an emergency. All the buses are equipped with first aid kits and fire extinguishers, which need to be maintained. There's a lot of other things that go into the maintenance and equipment other than just the school bus. Transportation in a school system is basically a business. We have all the same things that a business has. We have labor, we have buses that we have to purchase, we have maintenance of that equipment, and on top of that we also have the price of fuel, which varies. So we have to be able to make all our expenses fit into our budget. We cannot go and ask for any more money.
Can you imagine a school day without paper? What if there wasn't any water for the drinking fountain? How would the buses run without any fuel? When you think about it, these land resources are important elements of every school day. As food service director for Southwest Local Schools, Bonnie Berkmeyer is in charge of a land resource that's very important to the students: food for the cafeteria.
Students look forward to the break in the middle of the day to have meal period and socialize with their friends. I'm not sure that they realize all the factors that go into producing a meal. In our district, we have 6 elementary schools, 1 high school, 1 junior high. We serve approximately 3,500 lunches every day and approximately 800 breakfasts. Basically, there are 3 resources involved in producing a school lunch. One is the food, obviously, the labor to serve the food, and equipment to prepare the food. We have to order foods that make up our entrees, fruits, vegetables, breads, milk from the dairy, other dairy products, staples like flour, sugar, things that go in our recipes, and spices to make everything taste great. There's a bit of math involved in determining how much food to order. A lot of entree items are packed by the case, so if you've got 200 students eating and there's 200 items in a case, you get 1 case. That's pretty simple. Other things aren't that simple, like a case of corn, and we have self-serve lines and you don't know how much they're going to eat, so it just becomes a pattern. And cooks in each kitchen learn this pattern, and they know when we serve corn, just about every time we're going to go through X number of pounds. So that's how much you order. When the food arrives to us, we store it in walk-in freezers and walk-in coolers until we need it for that day's meal. Once we retrieve it from the cooler and the freezer, prepare it, then we store it in hot boxes in the kitchen, and then eventually it ends up on a steam table where it's served directly to the students. Most kitchens have 4 main pieces of equipment that they use to prepare the food. One is an oven, obviously, a steamer, a kettle, and we have the stove. There's other pieces of small equipment that we need to go along with that, like mixers and slicers and things that are necessary as well. We purchase all the equipment ourselves. We are a nonprofit. The money that we collect from students is used to pay for the food and supplies and for the cooks who serve the food to them. Any money that's left over goes to buy equipment and to maintain the equipment. A lot of the cooks that work in school food service have been doing it for many years. They enjoy children. They're an integral part of the school day and just another part of educating students.
When the superintendent and other administrators engage in entrepreneurship to make budgetary decisions, they try to balance their district's needs for labor, capital, and land resources. A teacher can't teach without books or paper. A bus can't transport students without a driver or fuel. And the food in the cafeteria can't be served without the people and equipment to prepare it. All of the factors of production are interdependent. No one probably recognizes the interdependence of all these factors of production more than Miamitown Elementary School principal Carter Cordes.
If you consider the business of Miamitown School, I think that you would have to say it's to educate our children. Our product is a literate child who is going to leave Miamitown School and to go on and be successful in junior high school, and also in college. Those would be students who can read and write, who can think intelligently, and who are going to be successes. My day-to-day responsibilities as the principal cover making sure that the building is open, that the facilities are in good shape, that we have heat, that we have water, that my teachers have materials to use to instruct the students with, to make sure that students are transported safely to school, that they have a meal at the end of the day, and to pretty much ensure that the whole operation runs smoothly on a day-to-day basis, and obviously to do that consistently. The district administration level decisions are crucial to the operation of my school. Literally all of my resources come from the district office decisions, whether it's the staff members I employ, the equipment that we purchase here at our school, textbooks, materials, food services, transportation, Every purchase item is a direct result of those decisions made at the district level. In looking at my budget and balancing my budget in terms of the issues of land, labor, and capital, I would say that my largest expense obviously is with labor. Labor is very expense intensive. Capital would be my next priority. I get an annual budget every year and it takes a lot of purchases, a lot of items to operate my school. Probably third at this time would be the land and the costs associated with that. The factors of staff and food and equipment are all very, very closely interrelated. Obviously, staff members are crucial. Without the employees that come to school to open the building, to provide the instruction, we wouldn't be able to operate. Equipment is vital, beginning with the equipment that heats the building, from the computers in the classroom to the telephones to the fire safety. Obviously, we do feed students. They do have to have a breakfast in the morning, and we have a noon meal. Of course, that involves a great deal of equipment and staff members to prepare several hundred meals every day. It's necessary for my school to have the resources of land, labor, and capital to operate. Were one of those resources missing, I would not be able to operate my school. I would shut down, could not do it. My favorite thing about working with the children, something that happens in my building, when the kids have done a good job, the teachers send them down to me, and I love it when they come and they knock on my door and they're holding a paper in their hand, and they've said, "Mr. Cordis, look at this, I've done a great job. My teacher wanted you to see it." I love the smiles on their faces when they're being recognized for a job well done. It's a favorite part of my day.
Take a look around your school. What entrepreneurial decisions did the business office make for your school this year? Who provides the labor that helps you during the school day? Are there any new capital goods in the building? What land resources were used to make your lunch today? It's easy to understand the factors of production. They're all right in front of you.
Thank you, and have a nice day. Producing Ohio, Creating Our Economy is a WCET project in partnership with the Greater Cincinnati Center for Economic Education at the University of Cincinnati. Producing Ohio is made possible by a generous grant from the Ohio Educational Telecommunications Network Commission in support of the Ohio SchoolNet Initiative. Go for a ride down almost any highway in Ohio, and you're likely to see fields of corn. Look a little closer, and you might see tomorrow's breakfast, or maybe a source of fuel, or even a box of crayons. In fact, corn is used to produce many of the goods we use every day. When we demand those goods, we actually create a demand for corn. And if we follow corn on its journey from the farmer's field, to the grain elevator, to the mill, to the manufacturer, to the store, and finally to the consumer's home, we can learn a lot about markets and prices. What did you eat for breakfast this morning? If you had cereal, there's a good chance it contained corn. Corn that originally grew in a farmer's field. But how did that corn get from the farmer's field to your kitchen table? It all started when you asked one of your parents to buy your favorite cereal. And with your request, you created a consumer demand. Robert Killens Jr. is a consumer who's usually in charge of purchasing the groceries for his wife and 3 children. As he shops the aisles of the grocery store, his purchasing decisions are affected by many factors that determine demand.
When I go to the grocery store, the factors that I consider are the nutritional value of what I'm buying. I consider the price. I also consider the quality. Price influences my purchasing decisions a great deal, but it's not the sole determinant because you have to make sure that you get good value for what you spend. But price is important. I will occasionally seek a substitute item if I believe the item that I want is priced too high. But I would have to be convinced that the substitute item would represent a good value, that it would be a quality product. Well, the price of complementary goods has some impact. If, as an example, milk would increase tremendously, it may have some impact on how much cereal we consume. But as a rule, unless it gets to be very expensive, we'll still purchase items that we like. A sale price or a coupon will encourage me to try new things. So quite often I try things as a result of either being on sale or a coupon. I believe that that's very effective, and I often try things as a result of that. There are a number of products that I've tried and that I've liked as a result of that introduction through sale or coupon that I then continue to purchase. Well, the family has a lot of influence on the decisions. Of course, you try to balance what they want in terms of taste and preference with something that's both good for them and something that's of a good value. I think my kids are greatly influenced by advertising because they see a lot of things on television, especially during the shows that they watch. And when we go to the store, they want those things. And so I think it has a great impact in terms of influencing them to want to try various things. As a consumer, I feel that I have a great impact and influence on companies because they make decisions based on consumers buying the products. And so as a loyal consumer of a particular product, the company wants to keep me as a customer. The cost of the products, the quality, all of those factors, I think consumers have a big impact on that.
So if you want your favorite corn cereal for breakfast, you have to go to a store and buy it. But how does that box of cereal get there? Somebody has to manufacture it, and whoever does that must make enough cereal to adequately supply the store. In other words, when you demand corn cereal from the store demands it from the manufacturer. Keith Pullman is the plant manager for a General Mills plant in Cincinnati, Ohio. His plant is responsible for meeting the demand of every store in the United States that sells Chex cereal.
The products that we make here at Cincinnati that include corn would be Corn Chex, Honey Nut Chex, and multi-brand Chex. The process we use to make cereal is first we'll mix it. We'll take all the ingredients and put them together, things like the corn and other processing ingredients, including vitamins. Then we'll cook the product, put it into some kind of texture, which for us is the lattice shape, and then we'll puff it, toast it, add any other ingredients like sugar to the outside, and then we'll package it and put it into cases so that it can be shipped to the consumer. When we're looking at how much to make per day or how much to make on a run, we look at the consumer demand and things that might affect the consumer demand. Things like promotions where you put something on the box, maybe a toy or a CD, and any other kind of promotions that might be coming up. Things like sales that we might have where we sell at a discount. Those will all affect the consumer demand. And then we'll look at how much product we have in inventory and how well that will cover what the demand will be in order to figure out how much do we need to make and make in a run or make in a week in order to bring those inventories to the right level. We don't want to have too much in inventory but we certainly want to have enough that we can cover the consumer demand. Our product has a pretty level demand throughout the year. However, for Chex, there is a bit of seasonality from Halloween all the way to the Super Bowl, where people are using our product as an ingredient in their Chex party mix that they might make at home, where they add nuts and add salt and those kinds of things to make a snack mix. But for the most part, most cereals have a pretty level demand throughout the year. The components we look at when we look at our total cost per case are things like depreciation, the amount of money that we have to spend on capital improvements, things like the building, things like the equipment in the building, which are quite expensive. And then we also look at raw ingredients and the cost of things like the corn, the liner material that the bag's made out of, the carton material, the case materials, those things like the cardboard. Those are all components in our cost. We also look at the things like the land that the plant is built on, the 21 acres or so that we have here in Cincinnati. Also, we look at the compensation costs, the amount of money that it costs to pay people's salaries. People like me, you know, people out there on the floor that are actually making the cereal. All those folks need to be paid. That's part of our cost as well. All those things are components in our total cost per case. When you look at our whole supply chain, it really is driven off the consumer. Their demand is to have a high-quality product at as good of a value as they can get it as far as the price, which drives everything we do. We've got to have the right ingredients and the right process and do it as efficiently as we can. And part of that is having the right raw ingredients, which then goes back to the mills. They've got to be able to supply us on time with the right ingredients, the right quality, in order for us to make a consistent quality product. Now that goes all the way back to the farmers then, because the farmers need to supply the mills with a solid, consistent corn that is going to be the right quality for them to mill, that can make our product as well as it can, which is going to make the consumer ultimately happy.
You keep eating corn cereal for breakfast. The grocery store continues to sell it, the manufacturer continues to make it, and the corn mills stay very busy because it's up to them to meet the demand for processed corn. In turn, the mills demand raw corn from the grain elevators. Paul Brazier is the Regional Field Marketing Manager for Consolidated Grain and Barge, a grain elevator in southwestern Ohio. Since raw corn is a land resource, Paul buys and sells it as a commodity based on a current market price.
A grain elevator is where you will see your local farmers ship their grain, their corn, beans, and wheat, so it can be transported and turned into other raw products. The local farmer will call us up and ask us at our office what the price of corn is worth. If it is delivered either today, a month from now, we can decide on a price even a year and a half out in advance. That price is determined from the Chicago Board of Trade. The Chicago Board of Trade is where everyone around the world bases their set price. The only difference between our price and a price at another elevator may be the cost of transportation. The commodities market is where a price is established for a particular raw product, whether that is corn, beans, or wheat, alfalfa, other products. There has to be a set price that on any given day, because of weather, because of world demand, because of political reasons, that a price is determined. On this given day, this particular product is worth this. And that's a constant, ever-changing, moving market. Just like we see when we see pictures of Wall Street and the trading action that goes on the floor, that's the same thing that we see at the Chicago Board of Trade. The only difference is we're setting prices on commodities, corn, beans, wheat, and other raw products. Our customers are twofold. There are farmer customers, and then we have another customer that we refer to as the end user. The end user is anyone that needs the commodities that we are buying from the farmers to turn it into another product. Every candy bar that you look at, if you look at the description on the candy bar, it may say corn syrup, and that corn syrup comes from raw corn that we're purchasing and sending it to someone that is then turning it into another product. I would encourage you the next time that you're at your grocery store that you take any product that is on the shelf and pull it off the shelf and read the ingredients on the back. You'll be amazed at how many products that you'll see that has some type of a corn base in it. The consumer plays the most important role in the whole process of corn being turned into a product, because corn isn't converted into any product until the consumer has a need for that product. We have a real passion for our job because we know that in the particular point of the delivery system of getting corn to an end product, that we are kind of the go-between between the end user and the farmer. It gives us the ability to stay very in touch with the ground that the corn is grown on and to really understand what we're consuming and how we affect the population.
But before it reaches your cereal bowl, the grocery store, the manufacturing plant, the mill, or the grain elevator, the corn supply originates from the farmer's field. Beth Ann Niederman's family has been farming at Niederman Dairy Farm for 4 generations. In addition to raising dairy animals, her farm grows crops, including corn.
On our farm, we grow field corn, but you'll also find popcorn and sweet corn in Ohio. A large portion of our crop is used to feed our animals, as throughout the state of Ohio. The rest of the corn is then taken to our local elevator and sold for the markets. Field corn is a wonderful renewable resource. There are over 3,000 items found in the grocery store made from corn. We take a very large risk when we plant our corn in the spring. We just hope for good weather and a good growing season through the summer, and then when we harvest our corn in the fall, we hope for an abundant corn crop. In the fall, when we harvest our corn, we take it to the local grain elevator, where it is transported to a larger elevator and then onto the mill. The price that we receive for our corn is based on the commodity market. I cannot personally take my corn and say I need this amount of money for my bushel of corn today. I have to take the price that's given by the commodity markets. There are several factors that can affect the price that we get for our corn. One would be the supply, the amount of corn in a region. World events could affect the price, and also the quality of the corn. If we produce a good, clean, quality corn, we'll get a premium on that corn. If we have good weather and we have a good corn crop, then there's an abundant supply in the area, then the demand might be less than the supply, so our price could be a little bit lower, or vice versa. If there's not enough corn in the area and the demand is high, we could get a little higher price. We hope for a situation where we can at least sell our corn to make a profit. We have to cover our cost of production and then also our living expenses as well, and hopefully have enough to plant our crop for the next spring then. We all need each other. We produce a supply of corn on our farm that's taken to the elevators and then the mills and then the manufacturing plants. I don't know how to produce cereal, but I know how to produce corn. So I need to grow my corn to supply that manufacturer that can produce the cereal that the consumer wants. Well, I like being involved with the agricultural industry. Ohio agriculture is an exciting place to be right now, and it's a wonderful way to produce goods and services that people need and need to survive every day.
If you don't demand your favorite corn cereal from the store, the manufacturer won't have a demand for processed corn. The corn mill won't demand raw corn from the grain elevator, and the farmer will have no reason to supply it. By demanding corn cereal, you derive or create a demand for corn. Dennis Haya began his first farm chores when he was about 5 years old, and he legally joined his family farm partnership in 1975. With all that experience, Dennis has witnessed firsthand how the demand for corn is derived from the demand for corn-based products.
Consumers, manufacturers, mills, and farmers are all pretty much interdependent upon one another, because without everybody working together, you would not get the flow of product from the field to the consumer. You take out any one of those people in the chain and If you don't have a consumer, you don't have a need for the product. And if you don't have a farmer, you don't have somebody to make the product. And if you don't have the mills or the manufacturers to convert the product that the farmer has to a usable product, then the consumer has no product. So everybody needs everybody else because we're all interdependent. Commodity prices affect everybody in the production chain, from the farmer to the consumer. In the spring, when the farmer is making up his mind what to raise, he's going to look at the corn price, and if the corn price is low and he thinks he can make more money raising another crop, he's going to divert some of his acreage into another crop in order to maximize his income. Now, when you start changing the acreages of corn, naturally you're going to change the total amount of product that is produced at the end of the year. So if they plant less acres and then you have a weather condition that gives you fewer bushels, the price of that commodity will skyrocket because there's less acres and way fewer bushels. So when a farmer gets to the point where he knows what kind of a corn crop he's going to have, if he knows that the corn crop is going to be a little bit low and the demand is going strong, the consumer is consuming a lot of products, let's say corn in this instance, then he may want to take and hold on to his product because the market is going to bid the price up in order to free up those bushels. So that's going to affect the consumer. The consumer is going to say, well, I can buy this product at a certain price, but once when it gets to an X level of dollars, I'm not going to buy this product. So when the consumer turns off his demand because the price is too high, that product starts to back up in the production chain. So the whole ball of wax ends up that everything is interrelated on the commodity prices. I mean, high price, low price, everybody every day makes a decision on what the price of grain is.
So on that next long road trip, when you have nothing to do but stare out at the corn, know that those little kernels will soon be going off to market on a journey of their own. From the farmer's field, to the grain elevator, to the mill, to the manufacturing plant, to the store, and maybe to your own cereal bowl. Producing Ohio, Creating Our Economy is a WCET project in partnership with the Greater Cincinnati Center for Economic Education at the University of Cincinnati. Producing Ohio is made possible by a generous grant from the Ohio Educational Telecommunications Network Commission in support of the Ohio SchoolNet Initiative. you count how many ads you see in a day for cell phones, long distance, internet access, and other telecommunications products and services, you'll probably come up with a big number. With all the competition in today's telecommunications industry, it's hard to believe that for many years, consumers could only purchase communication products and services from their local telephone company. But from the time the telephone was invented in 1876 until the breakup of the Bell system in 1984, most telephone companies operated as regulated monopolies and were shielded from the pressures of competition. Before 1984, most of the local and long-distance telephone service in the United States was provided by the Bell system, or the company we know today as AT&T. In Cincinnati, Ohio, businessman Charles Kilgore founded Cincinnati Bell, which operated as part of the Bell system. George Dreyer is a retired vice president of network operations for Cincinnati Bell. For much of his career, Cincinnati Bell enjoyed the advantages of operating as a legal monopoly.
In March of 1876, Alexander Graham Bell spoke those famous words to his assistant over the newly invented telephone. "Mr. Watson, come here, I want you." And the telephone was born, 1876. When the telephone was invented, of course, it was patented, and the patent was secured by what we now are usually called the Bell system. When Mr. Bell's telephone was brought to Cincinnati in the 1870s, Mr. Kilgore and his company entered into an agreement with the supplier of that equipment, which provided the equipment to Cincinnati Bell in exchange for 20% of the stock of Cincinnati Bell. The Bell system was made up of 7 regional Bell companies, Cincinnati Bell and Southern New England Tel, all of which were owned by AT&T, almost 100%, except for Cincinnati Bell and Southern New England telephone companies. We took many of their recommendations. We used their research, their development, their installation, their manufacturing. We were privy to the patents developed by Bell Telephone Laboratories and Western Electric Company. Western Electric Company was our principal equipment supplier, and in exchange for all this, of course, AT&T people sat on the board of directors of our company, and that relationship was maintained up until the breakup of the Bell system in the early 1980s. The government brought suit against the AT&T company, describing it as a monopoly, which it was. So with the breakup of the Bell system, you're separating the research part, the Bell Laboratories, the manufacturing part, the Western Electric Company, and also the installing company of the heavy equipment, and the operating companies, which manage the actual telephones. Cincinnati Bell was a monopoly, but Cincinnati Bell has an extremely long history of innovative technological improvements, introduction of new services. The impact on Cincinnati Bell, in my judgment, was rather minimal because in the Bell system, there were 2 sort of renegade companies, Cincinnati Bell and Southern New England Company. Those are the 2 companies that AT&T did not own the majority ownership. So we were sort of independent, and we did not always follow the AT&T line. So the impact was much, much heavier on the other Bell companies than Cincinnati and Southern New England.
With the breakup of the Bell system, new competition motivated telephone companies to become more productive. As companies like Cincinnati Bell evolved into competitors, they were driven to invest in the development of new products and services. Cincinnati Bell continues to make that investment today with people like Mike Vanderwood, the Vice President of Product Development and Product Management. Through the development of new products and services, Mike works to increase Cincinnati Bell's productivity.
Product development is essentially the process of measuring customer demand for different features and functions and creating services that meet those needs. Before 1984, Cincinnati Bell's product development efforts were really centered around following the industry and the technology trends. You really didn't have a lot of incentive to develop new products and come out with new revenue streams. You essentially just watched what the larger telephone companies were doing and came out with really what became market-established services. Competition has a large effect on product development. When you have multiple competitors in a given market, everyone has incentive to find some differentiation, meaning you want to find something you can hang your hat on, something to identify you to the customer so that they know you're different and are willing to pay some kind of premium for your service. So you have a lot of innovation. Necessity being the mother of invention. In order to survive in a competitive market, you have to constantly innovate and come out with new services. What we try to do is do market research and ask customers what their problems are, what it is that we can solve for them. And once we capture that, we can look at what we have in our networks and build services that provide them with the capability to solve that problem. And if they're willing to pay us for that, then we have success. In many cases, we will look at what our competitors are doing, because in a competitive market, the great thing is you have a lot of companies and a lot of customers interacting, and that creates a pretty clear statement of what customers demand and what price they're willing to pay out in the market. The risks for product development are really two kinds. There's a risk in market research that you're not getting accurate feedback from customers or that you're misinterpreting that. The other piece of risk is from a financial perspective. Are you investing in network assets or other pieces of equipment or other costs on an upfront basis, meaning laying out a lot of money upfront before you can offer the service? And if you do that, you put yourself in a position of having big losses later if you aren't able to get as many customers to subscribe to the service as you thought. Every new product or service does not succeed, not by a long shot. I think industry-wide and even across all business, there's something like a 50% failure rate for new product introductions, and I would say our experience is pretty similar to that. At the end of the day, customers are going to stay with companies that solve problems for them and bring perceived value. If you're letting your product portfolio get stale, if you're not adjusting your prices to competition, if you're not solving new problems that customers have, then they're going to change their opinion of you and they're going to be looking to competitors to solve those problems for them.
Competition also led telephone companies to focus on the wants of their consumers. To effectively market their products and services, companies like Cincinnati Bell had to become familiar with factors that determine demand. As the Vice President of Consumer Marketing for Cincinnati Bell, Don Daniels uses his knowledge of factors that determine demand to market his company's products and services.
What it means to market a product is really to bring together the wants and needs of the customer with the products and services that we have to offer and the benefits of those products. Ultimately, when we market a product, what we're really trying to do is get the customer to realize we have the products and services that they want or need and that they should really buy them from us. At Cincinnati Bell, when we're doing marketing or advertising, there are really several different elements that we focus on. Unlike other industries, we have both products and services. We kind of separate them out that way. Products being things that are tangible, that you can touch and feel, and that have characteristics like a wireless phone or a cordless phone that you can actually put on a shelf or send somebody in to see or show on a TV commercial or in a print ad. Then we also have services that we sell, things like caller ID, call waiting, long-distance plans, things that you really can't see and touch, but we still have to talk about in print ads or radio commercials or TV or in all of the marketing that we do. Specific products are marketed to specific customers, and typically we call that target marketing, where we take a specific group of products or a specific product and look for exactly who is most likely to use or buy that product. And then we go out through very direct methods like direct mail or telemarketing to go out and solicit for sale those products. Substitute products can be a big factor not only from competitors but also internally. We sell both local wireline service, your home telephone, and we sell wireless phone service. And as the price of wireless phone service falls, we find that some people are substituting a home phone for a wireless phone. In that we're in both businesses and we have competitors in those businesses, we need to be careful about how we market and talk about our products to be sure that we maintain what is not only the best product and service mix for the customer, but also for the company, and that we continue to manage our revenue streams as those changes take place in the market. Cincinnati Bell has actually benefited from competition in a number of different areas like long distance and wireless and internet access, in that the more people that are out there talking about the benefits and the value value of those services, the more the market is receptive to actually buying those services, and therefore the more people are out there purchasing. The customer also benefits from competition in that there are numerous offers out there for them to choose from. As companies, we have to stay on our toes to be sure that we are offering products and services that are of at least equal or greater value to the customer than that of the competition. Marketing is very critical to the success of a product. If people don't know about a product or don't know the benefits or the value of a product, then they're not likely to buy that product. And if people are not buying the product, the company won't be successful.
Once telephone companies like Cincinnati Bell no longer functioned as monopolies, they, as well as their consumers, began to benefit from the advantages of competition. John Gurton is a customer service manager for Cincinnati Bell, and he believes that his company's commitment to quality customer service has benefited both the consumer and Cincinnati Bell.
Customer service to me is providing telephone service quickly in a timely manner and to ensure that that service is always on and working. The consumer has set a level of service that they expect. They sort of demand a certain level of service from Cincinnati Bell. And it's our customer service that will differentiate us from other companies coming into the city. Sometimes it is a challenge to meet the customer's expectation of customer service because the company raises the bar, and as we raise the bar, the customer also raises their bar. I use the analogy of the customer wanting us to flip a switch to turn their service on. At one time it was 2 days to do that, and we're down to the point now where we can flip the switch on the same day, or the customer wants it done within a couple of hours. So it is a challenge for a company to meet that demand. Some of the challenges in providing customer service is just maintaining that service. There are times where we have to send installers out to actually do physical work at a location, which prevents us from providing same-day service. There's also times where there are just bad weather conditions, where we're working harder at trying to keep the people who are already established customers, keeping their dial tone going, so it's hard to be out there to provide new service for customers. There are just challenges coming from every direction. The customer is the heart and soul of everything we do. If there were no customers, there would be no Cincinnati Bell. We actually solicit the customer's feedback. In my office particularly, we have a form that the customer can fill out where we ask how are we doing. We also have a company that makes outbound calls to customers asking how was their visit into the public office or how were you treated when you called into the call center. I think the service does influence customer loyalty, especially since we've gone through focus groups asking them what their need is. And if we provide that, I would think that the customer would stay loyal to us because we are actually providing something that they've asked for or something that they've given an approval for. I think competition forces a company to look at working more efficiently. I really think that in some ways competition could be a great thing for a company. Cincinnati Bell has benefited from the competition by maintaining a large customer base. It shows that we are the channel of choice, or the consumer's choice in this area. The consumer has benefited because now they have a choice. They can either go with the best or the good, and I believe that Cincinnati Bell is the best. We provided great service for the last 125 years. Hopefully we'll be here for another 125.
There are many advantages of competition versus a monopoly. Competition encourages productivity. Competition motivates producers to pay attention to consumer demand, and competition often leads to innovation. In 1998, Cincinnati Bell launched Zoomtown, a major innovation in high-speed internet access. Kurt Frainer is the Director of Marketing, Sales, and Product Definition for Cincinnati Bell, and he works closely with Zoomtown.
Cincinnati Bell got in the internet business for a couple of different reasons. One, there's a fundamental belief that the internet was going to change the way that we work, the way that we play, and the way that we live, and that is certainly happening. An important part of our everyday life is the communication that we have back and forth with our friends, our coworkers, and our family. The internet facilitates a great amount of that communication. Cincinnati Bell, being a communications provider, wanted to make sure that we were right in the middle of being able to take this communication to a next generation experience via the internet, and we're doing that today.
When Cincinnati Bell decided to enter the internet service business, there was an important first step, which was to talk to customers and understand what their current frustrations were, what their unmet needs were. What we quickly found out is that customers were very interested in getting onto the internet. And in particular with Zoomtown, we learned that there was an unmet need in the marketplace among people who were currently using dial-up speed connections. They wanted to be able to get onto the internet faster and be able to do more things. We took an approach where we understood what the core need was, launched the product to market, and then continued to improve the service on the fly as we went. We found that in the world of technology, which is a fast-changing, dynamic marketplace, you don't have time to wait to get everything exactly right before you launch. You need to launch, learn, and rapidly and quickly improve your product to continue to make it better and better. Zoomtown is on a never-ending quest to continually improve and innovate around our core products and services. If we don't continue to make our products better, we will fall behind our competition. Competition drives each company to deliver the best value that they can to their customers. Value is comprised of two things: the performance of the product or service and the price. The more competition you have, the stronger and stronger your value needs to be to your end customer. Innovation within Zoomtown and innovation within Cincinnati Bell is driven from two places. First, within our culture, there's just a desire and a drive to continually improve and recreate our ability to deliver meaningful communication products and services to our customers. That's an important driving force for continuing to deliver new products. Equally as important is the competition that exists out in the marketplace. Competition drives us to take our games to a higher level, to deliver products that are of more value to our customers, deliver better functionality, and to deliver all of those products at the same price today or even a better price tomorrow, so that our customers are receiving more and more value. So there's no question that competition, as well as our continued drive and desire to continue to innovate, are both driving forces in us continuing to deliver new and more compelling products and services to our customers.
For many telephone companies, the transition from monopoly to competitor wasn't easy, but it ultimately led to new products and services, as well as increased attention to consumer demand. As a result, both the telecommunications industry and consumers benefited from the advantages of competition, and they continue to benefit today.